What steps did you take in order to writing, publish your book? I write poetry and would love to publish some one day. Awesome. Okay, so I've known since I was 17 years old that I was going to write books. I know I kind of shared in my try again video that I was going to go the traditional route. I did get connected with some amazing publishers and agents, and some would say, I don't think you're ready yet, or you need to build your audience up a little bit. One said to me, you remind me of this writer, of this author, like, have you researched this person? And it kind of made me feel like I wasn't enough. But when I did get a yes, I had this deep feeling within that was like, this is not the time. This is not the time. Self-publish, volume 1, Dare Purposeful Woman, and your traditional published books will come in the future. So the first thing I did was I had to write the book, because what ends up happening if you do everything else, if you're worrying about how am I going to market it, how am I going to do this, and you haven't even written it, you're going to find yourself going round and round in circles. Once you have finished your first draft, review your first draft until you are in a space that you're like, this is a good piece of work. So then I interviewed 3 to 4 editors. Because this was such a personal project to me, I didn't just want anyone editing my words. I really wanted to work with someone who really understood what I was trying to put out there. So my Dare Purposeful Woman first collection is called Dare Purposeful Woman, Courageous Words for You and Me, Volume 1. It is written in a way that I share stories throughout, but I also share short poems, prose, or just like quotes that I've written over the years. But it all flows in a single story. But the reason why there are some pages that are shorter, because I wanted those pages to serve as a resting space where you could really process some of the more heavier things I was talking about, or the things that would challenge you to reflect on your own journey. And then on those pages, you had space to write your own words, or to just like write things or notes that you wanted. So even though it's not necessarily a journal, that's the way that I wrote the book. So I really wanted to work with a soulful editor who could truly feel my words and give me suggestions. Some of the suggestions that she would give me would be like, hey, like, have you thought about maybe flipping these 2 words for more impact? So it was really nice working with someone who could truly see what I was trying to create. So though I was the author for the book, I was also the creative director for the book. I had a vision for how I wanted the cover to look, how I wanted the layout to be. So I worked with an illustrator to put that all together. So then my final stage was my proofreader, and she was hired specifically for grammar, making sure that everything was grammatically correct, because I didn't want to put a book out there that was self-published and had errors. The nuance was, because I'm British but I live in America, I wanted to use American English, but then I also wanted to make sure that the book was authentic to me. So for example, I don't spell mom M-O-M, I spell mom M-U-M. And like to this day, I'm going to address my mom as M-U-M simply because I was born and raised in England, right? So I wanted to stay true to certain nuances like that. And I had to almost like create my own style guide so that my proofreader and my editor knew these are words that I'm just not going to adapt to the American English, you know? So the one thing that I would say is, if you decide that you want to self-publish your own collection of poetry, it's okay to start small. I think sometimes we think as writers or as aspiring authors that the first thing that we produce has to be perfect. And I think that's what paralyzed me for so long, because coming from a TV production background, one thing that was always said to us was you're only as good as your last piece of art. So in my mind, I was like, oh my gosh, like this is going to be the book, like the thing. But at the same time, I also had to give myself room to understand that I'm growing, and that that first collection of work is meaningful and is special for that season that it was birthed. But now I'm ready to create more. So whatever you produce, it's okay to start small. But the one thing, write that first draft. Get it on paper, and I believe that every other step falls into place. You can put your own team together. You can be as creative as you want. You can be as simple as you want. It doesn't have to be lavish. It doesn't have to be extravagant. But the one regret that I have is that I didn't celebrate the launch of the book. I put the book out there, and then I kind of like ran and hid. Like that was the beginning of my hiding season. That's really the beginning of why Try Again was even a video because there was a lot of things. So I'm so grateful that I had such supportive friends, but a lot of my family didn't even like acknowledge it, and that really hurt me because it was such a big accomplishment to me, and it was almost a struggle for certain people to congratulate me, which was just really weird to me. And I wanted to do a launch party, like I wanted to do like a open mic kind of night where I brought friends and family together and I just shared bits from my book. Like I had all these ideas and I did none of it. And I look back at that and I think that's one of my biggest regrets, not celebrating myself because certain people didn't celebrate me and not paying more attention to those who did celebrate me, you know? So that's definitely a lesson learned.